everybody, this is Rexluna here, and today I'm going to be talking to you about how to prepare yourself for a convention. And this does apply to both cosplayers and non-cosplayers, so don't think that only cosplayers are allowed to watch this. That's never true about my videos anyway, so whatever. So first of all, I'm going to talk about pre-ordering your badges and pre-registering for your hotels. That, to me, is one of the best things you can do. When you pre-order your badge, it's always cheaper. Sometimes it's only by $5, sometimes it's as much as $25 to $30. So if you can do this, like if you have a credit card or if you're younger and your parents will allow you to use their credit card, I would definitely do this. Every convention has their own website, so if you check on their website, they usually give you an idea of when they'll put their pre-reg up. If not, just keep checking back. Some have Twitter pages, which is how, for example, for Fanime, I followed their Twitter page, and the moment they put up their pre-registration for their hotels and badges, I knew about it and everyone else knew about it, and all of their badges and rooms sold out within 15 to 20 minutes. So definitely keep updated on that kind of stuff. Also, once you go to these conventions, you can usually pre-register at that convention for the next year. So I do this sometimes depending on how much money I have and how much I've spent for the weekend, because I don't mind waiting to spend an extra $5 or $10 if I don't want to spend too much just then. But that's also an option. For hotels, if you don't order in that time frame that they give you when they're also doing their pre-reg for their badges, you usually can't get a room. You can call the hotels in the area, and sometimes you put on a waiting list, but that doesn't necessarily guarantee anything. There's also hotels that'll be farther out from what will be listed on the websites, but again, you're gonna have to drive or walk or take a taxi or a shuttle, so it's usually better to go with what the site lists as the closer hotels. But sometimes you aren't there within the 15-20 minutes. So once you get your badge in your hotel room, you need to be prepared. So you need to be packing, of course. Now what I like to do is make a huge list with everything I have for my costume, everything that's non-cosplay related, like any food I'm gonna bring, my street clothes if I'm gonna be on the floor without costumes, anything like, obviously, like toothbrushes and chargers, batteries, all that kind of crap. So what I do for my cosplays, I pull up a reference photo, and then I just kind of study the reference photo and write down everything I see, every possible piece, every hat, every hairpin, any little special makeup thing if they have like a gem by their eye, any accessories. I write everything down and make sure I don't miss anything. So, well, I don't write it, I type it because I do it on Microsoft Word or Excel. You can do it on anything, you can write it down also if you'd like. But I put a check mark next to everything, or checkbox, sorry. Then, when I'm packing, I put each piece down in my bag one at a time, and then I physically check it off when I'm done, or cross it off. So that way, in my mind, I've physically done something I know that it's in there. Because in the past, I haven't been as thorough with my list making, and I have missed items, and that sucks. So, also what I do, and I make these lists not just for conventions, but every trip I go on. So I could go to Disneyland or whatever, and I'll still make a list. But anything super important that I'll be using that day, like a toothbrush or my phone charger or my wallet, I always make that list, a little small one, and I stick it on my door. So on my way out of my room, I grab those items, put them in my purse, or whatever, and check those off, and then I know I have everything. So that way I don't forget something just because I was using it 5 minutes before. So the next thing, after you pack, because you're getting your last things in the morning, is you want to make sure you leave on time. Now, me, I'm very punctual, or I try to be very punctual, and to me, punctuality is very important, and I know it's not the same for everyone, so you need to kind of talk to your group of friends that you're going to be going with to see how they feel about punctuality, and what time they want to get to either the airport or the convention hall or wherever you're going to meet before you go. Now, in my case, one of the bigger conventions I go to, and kind of one of the only ones that I really go to at this point, is within driving distance. So my boyfriend and I and whatever friends, we all meet at one place and then we just drive. So I try to leave within, I give us like an hour or so to go, and I'm usually the first one ready. And what I found makes this happen faster is, as the only cosplayer in the group, I don't get ready before I go. I just go in street clothes and then I get ready at the room. So that way people aren't like yelling at the cosplayer for taking too long. So if you do have a photo shoot that you have scheduled early, maybe on the first day, just maybe have a bag with the extra stuff, and that way you're ready to go. You don't have to dig anything out. This is also a good idea because we do have one bad experience where the first year I decided to go in street clothes and not be prepared. Our room was literally not ready for 6 to 7 hours, so we got to the hotel early. We didn't have to wait in line for very long before we got to the counter, but there was no room ready for us. So we sat in the lobby and they were holding our bags, and the only way I would have been able to do anything would be if I dug all my stuff out and like ripped apart my bag and tried to find all my makeup, and I just did not want to do that, especially because I had no clue how long it would be until our room was ready. So that's something to think about, just in the off chance something like that does happen, and I hope it doesn't, because that sucked. The only upside was in that particular situation they gave us a suite for no extra charge, but don't ever count on that happening. That was awesome, but awful. So on the note of being in the hotel, food at conventions tends to be expensive, and if you're gonna walk to go find food, it's gonna usually be fast food or a restaurant that's also kind of expensive. So I like to bring food, and that can be just snack foods or baked goods, or what I've done recently is I have a really small rice cooker, so I bring the rice cooker and some rice and sometimes canned soup, because that also will just heat the soup up. So that way we have a few snack foods and, you know, 1 or 2 meals, like a lunch snack or just a dinner, so we don't have to buy every single meal. Some hotels will have refrigerators or microwaves. The hotel we stay at for Fanime, which is the convention I mentioned before, does not have either of those, unfortunately. So if you don't know what amenities your hotel has, you can call them, of course, and ask. What we also like to do is get a cooler and fill it with ice before we leave, and bring drinks, tons of water, of course, and, you know, juice and stuff, things to keep us hydrated and give us enough nutrition. And then once it melts, we just refill it with ice from the ice machines at the hotel. Alright, so once you've finally gotten checked into your hotel and you've gotten settled in, there's some things that you should think about. And one of those things is showering. And you might not think you smell, but you might smell. You probably smell. And when you're in a group with hundreds, sometimes thousands of people, and a lot of them end up smelling, that's not very fun. Especially if you come up and you like hug some random person and that person smells, and it's just not fun. So it's a good practice to shower every day, even if you're the kind of person that doesn't usually. If maybe you live in a house where you try to conserve water or something, which is like, I try to conserve water. I don't like taking long showers or shower every day if I don't have to, but at conventions I always do. And I know sometimes it can be tough. Sometimes you have a room with 4 to 7 people. Just try to make it work. Some people do it in the morning, some people at night. And if you sweat a lot, or if it's a really hot place, or maybe you are cosplaying and you're wearing a lot of body paint or just a lot of face makeup, maybe you have to shower more than once, just try to find a way to do it, because it's very important and it's just something courteous to do for the people around you. Also, you need to make sure you stay hydrated. You might not think that you're getting dehydrated, but you most likely are. You're doing a lot more walking than it feels like, because you're not going as far in your mind. As I know, I've kind of gotten myself dehydrated and exhausted because it doesn't feel like I'm doing very much, because I'm just walking circles around the dealer's hall. But it's important that you get enough nutrition and you get enough water in your system. So bringing water with you is a good thing if you bring it from home, because if you try buying it at the halls, it's usually like $1.50 or $2, and that's ridiculous. So next being, speaking of being courteous with your showers, when you get back to the room, really pretty much any time of the day, but especially at night, it's best if you're quiet. I personally am a very quiet, or a light sleeper, sorry. I'm also a very quiet person, but I'm a light sleeper, and the last couple conventions, our schedules were really weird, so we ended up sleeping earlier in the day, waking up earlier in the morning. And when I woke up early, I was always quiet. We didn't go to those raves and parties and stuff at night. We didn't do late night hentai or whatever. So the people who did were coming in 3 or 4 or 5 in the morning, slamming their doors, laughing, yelling and screaming, running around. And of course I'm the only one in the room who wakes up. Everyone else like can sleep through it. And it sucks. And there have been occasions where I thought, okay, maybe they're coming in and they're gonna settle in and be quiet, but it would go on for 30, 45 minutes, sometimes longer, like people were having a party in their rooms and drinking and doing whatever. And I've had to go in and tell them to be quiet, and then they don't. And then I have to call security, and then I feel like a jerk. So don't be the person that another person has to call security on, because no one really wants to do that. People want to go to conventions, have fun, and then sleep when they have to. So it's also just a good practice to do anytime. If you're coming home to your house late, don't blast your music, don't slam your car doors. If you're at any hotel, whether it's a convention or not, just assume there's some people that won't be up late. Especially even at conventions, there could be business people there having a meeting in one of the meeting rooms. Not everyone there is going to be at the convention, so try to keep that in mind and be polite to the people around you. And if you do get called for being too loud, don't be a jerk, because I've had people be jerks to me or just start being louder once they find out that someone has called security on them, so try to keep that in mind. So last but definitely not least is be kind and courteous to everybody. That includes cosplayers and non-cosplayers, the people who run the booths, the people who run the convention, the rovers, everybody. Just be nice. And there's a little bit of different etiquette when it comes to working with cosplayers, especially when it comes to asking for pictures. If you're gonna ask to take a picture or be in a picture and the cosplayer is indisposed, it's usually best not to ask. And sometimes you can't really tell if they are indisposed. Maybe you can't tell if they're on the phone or if they're eating. So if you ask and they say no, don't get angry with them and don't be rude. Just say, oh, okay, I'm sorry to bother you, and then just leave. Maybe you'll find them later, or maybe you won't. You'll probably find pictures of them in a gallery, and if you don't, then it's not the end of the world. But one of the most impolite things to do is to take a picture without someone's permission, and it's not going to be a good picture anyway, most likely. If someone's like taking a bite of their burger and you want to take a picture because they said, no, I'm eating, I can't take a picture right now, that's not going to be a good quality photo. Why would you want that? So just have respect for people's time, because the cosplayers are there to have fun just like you. They're not there to be celebrities or to serve you, so just keep that in mind. Also, some cosplayers have things that take up a lot of space, like armor or weapons or capes, so try to be mindful of your surroundings. Also, other people might have big bags. Photographers might have, like, maybe carrying flashes around, extra lights, big bags for their cameras and all their other equipment, so don't just be like willy-nilly running around and not paying attention where you're going, because you could cause damage to someone that could actually cost them money, and that's not a good thing. So just be safe and be nice and make sure you're prepared. Make sure that you're careful with all your belongings, with all your money, don't lose anything, try to keep a close watch. But of course, always have fun, and I hope that my tips help some of you. And if you have any questions, of course, always feel free to ask. And if there's anything you want to add to what I've said, feel free to leave a comment or a message or leave it somewhere on my many social media places, and I'll add it on the comments below. So thank you all for watching. See you next time.